What is up, gentlemen? Happy Friday. Happy September 1st.
Happy Friday. Happy September. Good to have you back on. Me and Papa P have been holding down the last couple weeks.
Yep. And
Papa
I'm,
P's
I'm
been.
not. I'm not gonna lie. Like my intro was phenomenal. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, everybody. We're back here for episode 77. We got John with his yellow lighting sitting on a couch. He's getting set up in his new house, so don't mind him.
that's right.
We
Don't
still
mind
have
my desk
Carlos.
yet.
We have Carlos with his plain white background, and we have me with the scribbles and scrabbles back here.
Oh,
So
you've
let's
added
rock and
post-it
roll.
notes.
I've
I'm
added
curious.
post-it notes.
He's
Well,
had
those are
3D background. Yeah, he's had
Well,
3D.
this is a new one for you for our platform that we have over here. So this one I added today when I was adding some agents in that I was talking to, and
Mm,
I was like, it would be good to be able to add this in. So I wrote me a post-it note. We'll talk about that later, bud. Don't worry.
excellent. Can't wait.
But welcome back. Everyone survived the
Thank you.
hurricane.
We did.
Boggles my mind. I have seen some horrible videos alike on Instagram about like St. Pete area, Shore Acres. I owned a home in Shore Acres, one of my first flips, without homeowners insurance. I
Mm,
rode dirty flipping when I was young without owner insurance. We had a storm, a hurricane came way back in the day, almost flooded that neighborhood. That was the flip that made sure from that point on I always had hazard and flood insurance and everything on all my homes during flips. And I saw that neighborhood last night on a video, completely just the fences look like pools. Like the backyard
holy crap.
fences look like fucking pools from the aerial. And I was like, holy shit, that's where I owned that home back. It was like 2010 or 11, and I was like, oh my God. Cause that area is like out by the water and it's just Bayshore Boulevard flooded, which begs the question, why do we continually buy and build homes?
I told somebody I was working with, they're like, how's the hurricane? I was like, well, inland it was fine. Like we were a
Yeah.
little worried about it, but all you get is wind here. But I will never ever own a house near like
I won't.
waterway.
Unless
Mm-mm.
it's no, listen, like I thought about it. Like unless I'm building a stilt home, like
Right.
poured concrete with no drywall, that's like I don't fucking know, but like completely sealed so water does. I don't. It just doesn't make sense how we build these homes in today's climate. Um, with the way hurricanes are coming through, and then we wonder why insurance is as bad as it is, which is one of the reasons why I stopped investing in Florida. Like I'm just done.
Hmm.
Not only did we have like everyone from New Jersey and New York come down and jack the prices up, but then insurance, we had more carriers leave this year.
Oh yeah,
And
so many people were like, we're not insuring Florida anymore.
yeah, and it's just tough. So
Hmm.
I saw my hearts go out to everyone over on the coast. Really sucks for you guys, but consider moving inland. But that's the price you pay. Listen, they have a better lifestyle. Like they
Yeah.
want to be down there.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, let's say you own a home for 5 years and you get a hurricane one day, that's a lot of
God, do you know how
great days on the beach. But
disruptive that is, though? Like,
right? Yeah. And it didn't
I
even
don't know.
hit St. Let's just be clear for those of the people that don't know
It did
about the
it.
hurricane.
No, it did
It
it.
didn't
It went
even
above
hit
it.
St. Pete. It
But it's the
like was
storm
out in the
surge.
Gulf, but it's the
Yeah.
storm surge that the hurricane generates and pushes inland, all along the coast just got wrecked.
So start dialing, put Pinellas County on your list to dial, and start fucking those people up with your fucking spam calls, everybody. Make them an offer they can't refuse. Tell them you'll work with their insurance companies and lock and load those fucking homes.
You
What
know
about
what you
texting
won't be
them?
about to say, you know what you won't be able to do is text those people.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Oh man,
I was
the texting is happening.
I so I was talking to an Investor Fuse customer, an REI Op Center customer. I was talking to their marketing person yesterday. Yeah, I saw that. They were messaging me about marketing and they have stopped texting and now they're cold calling because they were on launch control. I'm not going to name names, but well, I just did launch control.
Nah.
Fuck.
Bleep that out. Producer, bleep that out on the ones that goes on.
Yeah. Um, but they got off of it and now they're doing like they were heavy texters.
Mhm.
And like that
Oh,
was
you're
how
not
I was
gonna
setting up yeah, they're
you're not gonna
not,
be
so
able
they
to
switched to
generate
cold
leads via
calling.
text anymore.
Well, because they had all that data. So it's like, what do I do
Mhm.
all this data. I have all these phone numbers, so now they're texting. I was like, good for you. She hasn't responded back. It was late last night. I was trying to figure out what platform, you know what I mean, send call, call tools, blah, 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 air call, whatever they're using. So,
Yeah, so A2P 10 DLC rolled out fully today. So if you did not register your brand and then your campaign and then associate your numbers to your campaign, you cannot text.
Hang on,
today.
I disagree with that. So on smartphone, I am registered, but not my campaigns. So I was able to text today because I went through smartphone's documentation and like because their campaigns are talking about they want your. So I went through, I registered my company, then I registered like my phone numbers, like everything had tied to me, my brand and all that. And then it said, okay, like now register a campaign. But they said that anybody under, and I'm going to jack this up, 1,000 or outbound messages a day or 3,000 outbound messages a day, the campaign didn't need to be registered because I am low volume because I'm only doing one-off text. It's just like a regular texting. And so today I texted and my text went through. I'll text you right now, bro.
Interesting. I thought my impression was that everybody had to register. So back like 2 years ago when this started to roll out, they said that there was going to be two types of campaigns, a low level campaign of people that were doing under a certain amount and then a high level. But they changed that and nobody could get the low level anymore and everybody had to register for the high level. Because I also talked to a customer on smartphone today and their text got blocked. They all got in the office at 9 a.m. and it's not working. And they don't have a campaign registered.
I mean, unless it's because, I texted from my regular smartphone number. So what is this? Oh, wait a second. So now there's a new, I can share my screen if you want to see what smartphone's got going on.
Let's take a little dive in there.
Let's take a look at smartphone setup. So you can kind of come through and see that I am registered. So my progress to A2P compliance, I'm like 204. My profile was approved. I just had to register my campaign. So then when I came over here, so this is new. This was not what it was the other week when I was doing it. Depending on it, you may need to register for more than one campaign. So new campaign.
Yeah, you're on the low volume campaign.
See, but this is the thing is I don't have any of this. There is no message sample. And then I came here. Low throughput, any combination of use cases does not require approval. So but
you still have to put the campaign. No, you still have to submit the campaign and attach the numbers to that campaign. Because they're still what they're basically saying is that it doesn't require approval from the provider and the TCR group to manually look at it. It should go through right away. But you still got to fill this out. So your message samples will be things that you text to your sellers and keep out any language.
But I don't have that. That's the thing is like I don't have a sample because I'm not cold texting. I'm just saying.
Doesn't matter. No, that does not matter. It does not matter. Anybody that wants to be able to text.
What am I fucking supposed to put in there?
Hi, John. Just wanted to follow up on our phone call on Thursday. Hope you're doing great. There's your sample.
Yeah, let's set this up. This will be valuable for people to see at least some behind the scenes what's going on. I thought my number was registered, to be honest, and I got that thing today on my Just Call number.
My call, like I'm not going to show you because then it's going to have all my leads up there and motherfuckers start stealing my mobile home parks. But I had one. Listen, it's a grimy world out there. I had, mine went through. I texted myself hello this morning and it went through.
Interesting. I do there's so much going on today in the texting world. It may go away, so you still need to do this.
Yeah. So let's do my description. A short description. I do. What do I say? I do low volume.
So you want to phrase this in such a way that it spells out like these are people that you've talked to. So I follow up with leads that have reached out to me. That are having distress with their properties and need assistance in being able to sell them.
I like that. This is a lot of the real estate community this month. We'll have indicated it like that. That sounds good.
Something like that.
Yep.
Boom. So you guys could do some commentary while I'm doing that for the people listening on audio and not watching. But yes, that was me typing, everybody.
We could hear you saying it under your breath, though. No, that was good. Good wording. I like it.
So the message flow, and smartphone has this on the right-hand side. This is the biggest problem that people like why people are getting rejected for their campaigns. So
Okay, so
what
what do I
people
do?
don't. Well, so if you read that down there, the message flow describes flow and when an end user opts into a campaign. So you have to specifically explain how somebody is giving you permission to text them. And what they can do is go and check to see if that is indeed true. So what most people are having to do is add in opt-in boxes to their website that say, I give permission or consent to text. And they look to see if you have that checkbox on your website.
What about me? I don't have that. I only have a phone call.
Yeah, and so that's like this massive gray area of like, these people call me, why can't I text them back? And so you can try that, and then you can report back to us if it gets approved or not. I'd be curious.
It's interesting that you can get, like, the situation I found myself in this morning was InvestorFuse sales, and I did think that number was registered already to a certain extent, but I'm able to receive text messages, and I can't.
Yeah,
even
you
text
can
the person
receive,
back.
you can call, you just can't
Yeah.
text back.
But it's interesting that someone is literally texting you and you can't even respond to a text message back, even if you have a year plus history with that phone number.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Let me turn this off. Yeah, it's going to be incredibly disruptive, and like I don't think people realize how disruptive it's going to be. Like not only for existing businesses who now have to go through this like rigmarole, but on an ongoing basis, right? It's not like you do this and you're done. Well, now you're legally tied into the messages that you're sending, and they will shut down, like they will turn off your ability to text if they feel like the content that you're sending isn't in line with their guidance.
I think it's I get it though. I think it's needed, but I think like low volume doesn't make sense because it's like I don't spam people. It's literally like we use our smartphone and our CRM like it was a real cell phone. If I talk to you and you're like, man, I'm at work, text me. I just text you. And it's not spammy. It's just like, hey, bro, like, when's a good time to talk? Like, cool, man. Like, hey, I was trying to get a hold of your sister. She hasn't called me back. Can you touch base with her and have her call me? Or, hey, did you look at the document I sent you? It's just straightforward.
I mean, I agree, and I do think the high volume is what they're really going after. But what intrigues me is like thinking about like how this all went down, right? So the carriers got together and they said, we're going to enforce these regulations all as a group, right? Like how many times do AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon work together? And then they put it through the TCR, which maybe is a government company. I don't know. But it's, to me, I'm like, how much of this is like some secret move for them to get people to come back and buy business phones through carriers? Because when you go into Verizon and you get a phone, you don't have to go through any of these regulations.
I thought about that actually yesterday or the other day, and after we did our pre-show Tuesday, I was like, man, like, how do they even fucking know other than the companies, the like smartphone?
It's all VoIP, yeah.
Yeah,
but it's not like, coming internally from. It's not coming internally from a Verizon phone.
So
or T-Mobile.
Okay. Ready? You ready for this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the fucking 7-Eleven gas station and just buy like 1,000 Cricket phones, and like like fucking those little like throwaway burner phones. It's gonna be like I'm a drug dealer up in
like
here,
the wire.
just like stacks. Yeah, like I'm going baby. I'm going back to the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm pulling them out of the plastic boxes, making a call, tossing it into the fucking trash. And listen, I love smartphone, but like their geo tagging, like their geo tracking of like using their proper number is not that accurate. No offense, Jordan. I love your product, but it's like I had a guy the other day go, Brandon, how come every time you call me, it's from a different number? Where are you actually located? And I have one number for every like state, or maybe two numbers for every state, right? But like it'll be like Texas, and then they're using like a PA number to call Texas instead of one of my Texas numbers. And then another time it's a Daytona number, and then another time it's a Texas number. So it's like with the burner phones, what's the fucking difference? I'm using different numbers to dial these people, other than the fact that it's not I'm joking, because it's not a dialer. One-off calling is not going to help me call 200 people a day, but you get the idea. Like that would be something too, is like to text from a burner phone.
Yeah.
Go back to that.
Well, that was it's funny that you mentioned that. I have that written here on my list to bring up. I had an interesting sales call with a guy that is on REI Sift, essentially, but he's just looking for potentially more like function, and he's mainly cold calling, essentially more CRM stuff. So I talked him through, very transparent. REI Sift's a great product. They're focused more on data management. Anywho, he mentioned, actually, he said he watched at least he said he saw me on a podcast. I don't know which one he was referring to, but
it was probably this one, bro. Don't act like you're on that many podcasts. What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, I meant the Investor Fuse channel has hundreds of
I know. No, I'm
podcasts
joking,
about. But yeah, I'm no Papa P by any stretch of the imagination. You're right on that. But anywho, he was saying,
bro, hang on. I've never been on any other podcast than this one, just to clarify. So there you go. But yeah, I got you. Oh, I was on that one. I'm sorry. Yeah. You're right. I was invited to one. But keep going. So he mentioned what?
So pretty much he's had success doing land deals, but very, very niche lists. And he talked about the idea of what he's done before and I've heard other companies do this, and I'm curious. I think we could come up with some creative ideas of what people are going to do, as the last call that John and I just got off of. But you literally buy your acquisitions person just an iPhone, a literal iPhone. You don't do, and if it's a niche list, that's when you can do, like, you're getting more out of the list. Like, you're not able to dial a mass volume of numbers.
Yeah, that becomes.
You're single line dialing a smaller, niche. You have the blue.
It's going to be important.
Though. It depends on the type of lead you're doing. So like if I was doing like PPC or something, like cool, like I 10 contacts. I was talking to Bateman Collective. They were like 6 leads to a deal as like some of their best guys. So like if I'm calling 6 PPC leads to a deal, like that makes sense. It's just one off, even on follow-ups. But like, dude, like my parks yesterday, I dialed like 200 numbers yesterday. I don't know if you can see that on my Investor Fuse, but like, how am I doing that on an iPhone? Like you can't.
Yeah. It has to be such a small set of data.
But I also do this, and it's like I'll call. So maybe there's a place for it for texting and stuff, which is what we're talking about anyway, right?
Yeah.
But like I always tell people, like, so I have multiple smartphone numbers, but one of them I don't like cold dial off of. It's just like I call my cell phone. So like when I'm talking to brokers, agents, park owners, stuff like that, like I'm calling them off of my smartphone. I text off of that, but I'm not power dialing. I'm not using the smart dialer for it. So maybe there's a place for that, Carlos, where it's like you could dial using the smart dialer and these phone numbers. And then when I get you, I go, cool, I'll text you off my cell if you need me, because this is my office line.
Yeah.
And when the guy's like, Brandon, why do you call me from so many numbers? My excuse was, well, we're in an office building and we dial out on a switchboard. I'm not sure what numbers come out. We use a software that dials out on the switchboard, but like when I text you, it'll be from my cell phone, and that's the number you can always get a hold of me at, type of thing. You know what I mean?
And that's a use case for multiple campaigns. And like nobody really has a strategy yet, because we really don't know. Now that things are locked down, we'll start to understand what works and what doesn't. But you can have a campaign for like the cold kind of people that you're following up with, and assign phone numbers into that A2P campaign. And then you can have a campaign just for your warm. Because what ultimately is going to occur is, and you see it, right, when you go to your personal cell phone,
That's a good idea.
Somebody texts you, right? And then you're like, I don't know who this person is. And you go to block that contact. It says, do you want to like send this?
Who the fuck does that?
I do that. If somebody texts me and it's like, hey, do you still live in
I don't.
I got one the other day.
Bro, I
don't. You don't block those?
I don't fucking have the time, bro. I got someone with this, someone this link didn't work. I got this person. I got someone selling me a t-shirt on this one.
I don't block the ones that I know, but ones that are clearly like phishing, Like
Right, they're
those
definitely
ones I block.
fishing.
But that's the
Hey,
thing, right?
Brandon.
So
I love
here's the
those. Hey,
thing,
Brandon.
right? Put yourself in the shoes of a seller, right? And so if they're getting cold called and cold texted a bunch and they're just frustrated, they'll start blocking them. But those reports go straight back to the carrier. And so Verizon goes, hey, this phone number has been blocked 100 times this week. They're going to be flagged. Let's investigate and potentially block the campaign, right? And that affects all of your other numbers inside of the campaign.
Yeah, so using 2 campaigns is a better. So for like me in my scenario, like I'll have like all of my ones that I'm dialing out on that potentially maybe me or an agent is just going to text once, be like, hey, it was nice talking to you today. Here's my cell phone. This is a work line. Here's my cell phone and here's my email. And then like every one of us has, like I have one for every state I dial parks in, and then my main one for Florida, like just for everybody. And each agent has that, right? And those are in a separate campaign because they're not dialing off of them. They're not cold texting. These are the ones on your warm and hot follow-ups when you're like, hey man, did you get that? Did you get the contract? Like, did you receive it? Hey, you said you were signing it. Did you talk to your lawyer? Like that type of shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So this one that I put forward will be like my cold follow-up type of thing, and I'll assign all of my other numbers to it, and then I'll do another one with, yeah, I got you. I see what's happening. But I don't think I'm going to be a problem because I am literally low volume. We're talking 5, 10 text messages a day.
You would think
like
that.
There should
and I
be
hope it's true,
limit.
but we don't know. We don't know until like all this starts to play out this month.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fun.
Cold calling. Fun. But anyway, like in that client that we have, REI Upcenter and IF3, like they switched to cold calling, and I was wondering like how many more people. And I talked to, I don't even SMS, but I talked to Bateman Collective about using them for PPC, and I met with them on Tuesday, and I think they're great people. Like I used other people before and I was never pleased with them, but I like what they're saying. But he asked me why, and I said, well, man, I was like, Friday's coming, and everybody who texted, I have a feeling, is going to be cold calling because they just don't have the money to do other things or the patience to do them, because PPC inbound takes like a longer like cycle for it to get up and running, where people just quit 3 months in, because you're not getting leads. Whereas cold calling, you get leads day one, you just don't get the deal for 6 months. PPC is different. You don't get a lead for 1 or 2 months, but then you get the deal right away. It's just a level of delayed gratification, in my opinion, anyway. So I think that's going to happen too, is a lot of people are going to switch over to cold calling. Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's the most logical next step. Overall, how did the Bateman call go? I mean, I was going to ask that, but it sounds like it went it went positive, on the positive end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give away all their secret sauce, but like I found it interesting. So going back, man, I'm really got to keep my notes better.
What happened to your remarkable?
I have it right here. But when we were on the podcast with Ballpoint Marketing, I took notes based on what Justin was saying, and I can't find it. And what I found is they're kind of not the cost per lead, obviously, but what I found was very similar is what I had just mentioned a couple minutes ago, is he was saying like they want 6 months. They want 6 months of you not just giving up on them, because like they're pricey, and I'm not going to say their price. That's up to them to talk to people and to pitch their price, but they're pricey, but obviously well worth it. The value is there. But they're like, I want 6 months. And I was like, can you explain that to me? Not that I was disagreeing. I just wanted to hear the explanation. And he's like, well, a lot of people, it's what they'll get into it and they don't get a lead month 1 or month 2. And they're like, damn, I'm giving you all this money. Like I quit. Like I could go, not anymore, but I could go SMS or I could go cold call for this money and get a lead right away. Yeah. And I don't have my notes, but I remember the Ballpoint Marketing was saying the same thing. If I took my notes correctly, it was almost like 6 months, and they had broken down their cost, and they were like, it takes this much time for your mailers. They wanted you to mail like 6 to 8 times, I believe. And they were like, if you could do that consistently to these people, that's when you're going to start getting the call. And it's the same thing for PPC, which was the algorithm he was saying. So he was like, I want 6 months. And I found that very interesting because I was contemplating direct mail. But I think I'm going to go the PPC route is kind of what I think as I'm rebuilding everything after this.
Yeah, I
Love
mean,
that.
motivated sellers that are, inbound marketing, as we should call it, is always going to be better than outbound. I guess inbound from direct
Yeah.
mail is kind of similar, but this is like people that are actively searching and engaging in resources to solve a distress problem. I mean, they're always going to be more urgent and more likely to communicate with you.
Mhm.
And that's the thing is like, until you've dialed like 200 fucking people in a day because your leads are such low quality, right?
Mhm.
Like you don't really know, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people who are doing RVM and SMS, it's the quantity over quality type thing, and they love that dopamine rush of getting all these leads into their system. But it's like until you're, and as a boss, if you're not dialing, you don't know. But I've been on the phone, I've been hitting it, rebuilding everything, and I'm like dialing these parks too. And it's like when you really are looking at low quality leads, you have to talk to so many people. And I
Mhm.
know a lot of guys who do all the inbound stuff. And when I talk to them, it seems to be less burnout. And I was like, man, like
Oh yeah,
direct mail, I get it.
it's always exciting. It feels more. I
Yeah.
mean, it feels more exciting because you can
So that's,
chase things quicker, right? It's like this phone call that I'm about to make. I can potentially get them to a contract in 7 days versus like a cold call lead. It's like, man, we're just gonna have to go back and forth for months on end.
oh
Like,
my,
why
well,
do I want to
years,
do this?
bro. Years.
Yeah,
There was one that I got the other month, that land deal I got like in June or whatever, 2 years. I
yeah.
think actually it might have been 3 years because it was like COVID 2020. So like legitimate 3 years to get a piece of effing land from this guy.
Yep.
Like that's how long cold leads are because you're calling
Mhm.
them and they don't want to sell. Now all
Right.
you know is that you have a verified phone number and the right person, and now you just keep harassing the shit out of them until something. And it's funny. Listen, so I was on the phone with a mobile home park guy. I was following up with him. And he said no to me initially. On this was a follow up, so he said no again to me. I don't want to sell, and we just started chit chatting because I went off topic. And then I was like, yeah, we talked about how easy it is for anybody who is slightly savage in this is a 70-year-old guy who is slightly savage or a hustler in today's world to make it. And he goes, I'm glad to hear you say that, young man. He's like, because people always think that my generation had it easy because everything was so cheap and there was no technology back then and all the information. But he's like, but everybody back then was a hard worker.
Hmm.
Everybody back then busted their back. He goes, today you may have all of that stuff, but your generation doesn't want to do the work. And I go, that's what I'm saying. So I feel like me consistently calling you, even though you said no to me back in May, here it is August. I'm following back up with you to check in because things change. And he goes, and you know what? He goes, Brandon, I had a heart attack last month. He goes, if things would have went worse for me, I'd be selling my part. He goes, so you don't know what's going to happen. He's like, I'm better. The doctors don't know why I had it. I had no blockages, no nothing. So I'm up and at him again. He goes, but if it would have took another way or turned another way, he goes, I might have called you or now I'd be ready to sell my park. And that's the thing is like, you don't
Yeah.
know. I
Love that
just know
rapport.
I cold called him, have a verified number now. And now I'm just going to call him every like couple months and check in with him. And maybe he'll say yes in a year, 2 years, or
Oh, when he's
Filling that
ready to go,
pipeline.
yeah, if you catch him at the right time, I feel like the rapport you have built with that guy. Anytime you're transparent, like in your own like follow up process or sales process, and you're talking with them about that, that's typically a good
yeah.
indication.
Yeah, he
But
was a
yeah,
good
it's right
dude.
message at the right time.
Right message, and that's what cold calling is. Whereas PPC is them being at the right moment in the right time and finding you online in that time. So
Yeah.
there's a little difference. It's just a lottery. Like the other way is more of a lottery.
Hmm.
And don't get me wrong. I made my millions. Like I've done so much off cold. That was my thing. I just I also think maybe it's going to be a little different. And I like PPC because I think I want to implement it for parks too. So
Yeah, it'll be intriguing to see what you can do with parks with PPC.
Probably
yeah,
exciting.
Like
Inbound leads are a beautiful thing. They're just a
they
beautiful,
are.
beautiful
yeah.
thing.
So the last thing I'll kind of say before we move on to our next topic about kind of A2P. So everybody's like texting, but this is like passing the power back to the carriers and the telecommunications platforms, and they're realizing that they can, start to kind of control things again. So smartphone went through this today. Not only is texting now a problem, but they got a regulation with voicemails. So they actually had to physically remove the ability for you to upload a file, like a voicemail file, into Smart Dialer and smartphone, and now you must record it live so that it's a unique voicemail every single time that
Wow.
you're putting a voicemail onto the platform. And that was
That's
passed down
crazy.
from like telecommunication
Like
regulation.
I'm leaving a voicemail for somebody.
No, like on Smart Dial, on Smart Dial, how it automatically leaves a voicemail.
Yeah, no, yeah, I thought you were talking about because they have an automatic one where I leave my voicemail messages and leave me a voicemail.
I think
That's
I think it's even the voicemail recordings on the single lines too. But I think specifically they're like
I don't do that. You're talking about dropping them in RVM essentially. You're talking about when they don't pick up, it automatically leaves. Yeah, I know
on
what you
Smart Dialer. Yeah.
mean. I don't know, like, but it has. So you guys listen. I was right about a lot of stuff and wrong about a few things. One of the things I was right about was people calling Donald Trump the Teflon Don. I think we need to rewind the podcast episode when I said that a few years ago, and now I'm seeing it all over social media. So I'll lay fame to that.
What's he? Is he in trouble now? I saw he
This
got like arrested or
motherfucker
something.
just made $9 million off of selling merchandise with his mugshot on it. They can't keep this guy down. He just fucking wins. No matter what. There's nobody better than him. I'm just fucking saying. And I saw this post where it was like, now finally, because Macaulay Culkin when he was young got arrested and all that shit in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And so it was, now finally all the stars of Home Alone 2, we have all their mugshots. So it was Macaulay
That's
Culkin,
funny.
Donald Trump, and then the Wet Bandits below him. Remember the two guys? And I was like, bro, I would buy that fucking shirt.
Joe Pesci and somebody else. I forget the other Wet Bandit guy.
Yeah, no one knows what that guy's.
Wait, what does the mugshots have to relate to him being Teflon Don?
Because like they indicted him, they're trying to bring him down, but instead he flips the script on him, takes this mugshot which they released to embarrass
he put
this
his
guy.
Mugshot on a mug.
He put his mugshot on T-shirts, hats, like it's all over the internet. He has made,
and so he's selling them. That's hilarious.
Yeah, at first it was $7 million, but then I read it was like $9 million now he has raised from his mugshot.
That's hilarious.
9 mil, bro. Anyway,
that's funny.
House phones.
House phones. What about house phones?
They're gonna make a comeback.
Why do you think that? My wife and I have been talking about house phones.
Because
you tell me.
Because it has come to a point. So like I have a teenage daughter, right? And it has come to a point where I don't pick up my phone, like unless you're in it or like I'm literally expecting a number, like to call like business wise. I'm not picking up my phone. I don't really fucking care. Like I do well. Like I don't need to be attached to my phone. So I put my phone down and aside and I leave volume off a lot of times because I just don't want to be bothered.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't really give a shit. Like I'll see the missed call. And that there lies the problem because I think spam has gotten so much, the distractions have gotten so much from this, but at the same time, I do want to be connected. So I think house phones leave a way where you feel as if no one else is going to have this number. I'm not registering this number on my email or on a whatever. This is just like I'm going to give it out to my friends, my family, my daughters. You know what I mean? Like somebody and be like, John, like if you really need to get a hold of me, here's my house phone. I think it's going to make a comeback because it has none of that social media shit.
Won't it have the same problems that house phones had when I was a kid where like that is where the telemarketers, because isn't at this point every phone number recycled and probably on some list somewhere?
I don't know about that. I don't know how all the phone number purchasing and sales go, but I would say a lot of your data, knowing what I know about data, is because at some point, somewhere down the line, even if it was in 1990 and you signed up for Columbia House CDs and you put your house phone down there, you remember Columbia House? I was getting all kinds of free shit from them and not paying for it. A penny a CD. I was like, good luck collecting this money, motherfucker. worst fucking business model ever. They would just send you this stuff and then be like, now pay me. And be like, bro, I never got the CD. I love Columbia House, but So, and you put down your house phone because we didn't have
Yeah.
cell phones. So I think that's how all that info got sold. I think that if you have a number and don't register it anywhere,
A fresh number.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like people want something away from the distractions, but somewhere that people could still get a hold of them. And like, God forbid something happens and like no one's picking up a cell phone because we have them all on silent. And like, like my wife is horrible. She'll be like, where's my phone? She loses it 24/7 because she sets it down somewhere and then she doesn't touch it and then she can't find it when she needs it. And then she's missed all these texts and calls. I'm like, I was trying to get a fucking hold of you because I'm at the grocery store and you told me to get this, but you didn't freaking tell me what to get. And now I'm standing in this aisle like an idiot because you're not picking up your phone. And now we don't have dinner. I hope you're happy. No one's eating tonight.
I love those like Instagram reels where it's like I called for help. It's like the man comes back, or no, the wife checks her phone and she's like, oh, there's so many missed calls, and then the man comes in the front door and it's that lion guy who did that Netflix documentary.
Tiger King.
Tiger King, and he's like, I called for help. Yeah. Not even like a hello, how can I, whatever he says in that clip. And yeah, I was like, that totally happens to me too. I go to the store and I'm like, what? And call and nothing. Yeah, but it's funny. Like you think of the evolution of these things, right? And it's like when they first came out, you were so attached to them. Every time it rang, you picked up the phone
because every call was important.
Yeah, and now it's like everybody has them on. Like you hear somebody's cell phone ring, and you think that they're like a horrible person. How dare you interrupt this public space where we can hear a cell phone ring, right? And then now like there's features, Apple, and I'm sure Android has it too, where you can put in these like focus modes and only certain people can get through to you.
I don't even know what focus mode
I use them. Like I have a work one and I have a family one. So when I went after 5 p.m., it blocks all of my work stuff so it doesn't bother me. But it's like I could see it, right? We could like go up and now we're like trying to come down, trying to get back to like I need some sanity with all of this notification stuff.
Yeah, it's everything I think goes full circle in life, just like clothes, Bell bottoms made their way back for a while. I think we're gonna make our way back to baggy jeans. All of this stuff comes back. Cargo shorts, I'm waiting for that to come back. But you get the idea.
What were those Django jeans?
Jankos, yeah.
The huge ones. Those are
I didn't have Jankos. I had Gankos because everything I bought was off brand.
I wore cargo shorts to high school.
Did you have the pants that you could zip them they had zippers halfway, and you could either make them.
And cargo, bro. You zip them off at the knee, and I'd be like, "Oh, is it getting a little hot out? Hang on a second, let me unzip." And now I got shorts, and they were pants. Yeah, they were like
those still exist, and only in one industry, and that is hiking gear. So like they still sell them in outdoor stores for hiking.
Every day, bro. Every day wearing them. You never, especially in Florida, in the morning. You keep the long pants on. By the end of the day, I'm zipping them off because I'm sweaty.
Those things are the best. I owned a few pairs of those.
But I think home phones will make a comeback, and then I think they won't. I think people want like a simpler fucking life.
I can see that.
And like it's the same reason why I think people want land now. I think people want to have their own food. I think a lot of this stuff is happening, and it's like I don't know.
People are moving out of the U.S. too. Even people are just like moving out of the U.S. and going land and everything. But since the Do Not Disturb feature was introduced on the app on iPhone, 99.9, unless I'm like going somewhere, unless I'm expecting a specific call or I'm going somewhere, like meeting people out somewhere and need to like might have to communicate logistics of travel or moving there, my phone's on Do Not Disturb.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like I'd love we use the feed. I'm not saying like I don't like smartphones. I mean, I track my daughter with it, when she's out and about with her friends. Like we like all these features of it. Obviously I use social media, stuff like that, but I don't know. I think there's a time and a place for all that stuff. And I think house phones will make a comeback. So I'm laying claim to that. It's September of 2023. In a couple of years, you just wait, motherfuckers.
Funny, since we talk about phones, funny story. I got a call from Shannon's mother this morning. She's like, John, I just had this phone call. It was Amazon, and they told me that there was a $698 charge onto my card, and there was 12 other pending charges. And so I just like stopped her. I'm like, What
Scam.
did you tell them? What did you tell them? And she's like, I didn't tell them anything. I thought it might be a spam call. I was like, yes, that's a spam call.
Yeah.
She went on for 8 minutes. I mean, it baffles me like how the older generation aren't like as attuned to this.
It's
kind of
not
stuff.
just
And
the older generation,
and they
it's
like
the
get all the
younger one too.
PSAs about.
Yeah.
I mean, am I just? Are we just an anomaly like of like understanding what's like fake and what's not? Like,
Well,
'cause of what
we
do?
well, no, because we're the generation when it all happened, so we learned
Yeah.
as we went because these things were coming out. But like, it's like my daughter's generation. It's like she said something. I'm like, do not click the link.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
like she goes, I'm not stupid. I'm like, well, you've done it before. Like you're gonna.
So is it like the
go
younger
click the link.
generation is getting like fooled by text messaging and emailing? The older generation is getting fooled by phone calls because if somebody's on the phone speaking to them, they think it's like Jesus and must be
I know.
everything they say is truth.
Yeah.
It's
it just boggles me, and it's like spam calls, and then like people ask me if like, what did somebody say? Did I tell you? And they're like, how do I know this isn't a scam or something? And I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you there, because anything I would say, if I told you I wasn't, that's exactly what a scammer would say to you in response to that. But like, and I always think it's like, bro, like I'm not trying to get your money. I'm actually trying to give you money. So like, I don't know what you think I'm stealing from you, and you get my money before I even get your keys. But there's a lot of ways to scam people in real estate, but it's like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Anyway, that was an interesting side topic on house phones, but wait.
I'm with you though. I think it's definitely people are going to move more towards that, whether it's a house phone or even if they had a secondary phone. Like in how many movies are like, if you really, or like Ari Gold, if you really need me, hit me on the bat line or whatever. Like so many shows and movies.
I've thought about getting a second cell phone, but honestly, like to carry that around, that
so expensive too. It's like, is it really worth it?
Whereas a house phone, like, and it depends on what house phones come back at. Like, is they going to come back like Netflix, where back in the day Netflix was like $4.99, and now all of a sudden, like, I got bills of like $1,000 hitting my account because Amazon, Hulu, Disney, Paramount Plus, Peacock. I can't even think of all of them. Fucking
HBO,
Pluto, Fubo, and all these different things. But by the time I'm done, like, I'm spending more money than when I just had freaking cable and I was watching, and that was like the expensive cable. Do you remember, like, you would get the movie packages? You'd have Cinemax, Showtime.
I never got them, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, we got them when they offered it free for like one weekend. They'd be like, "Here, test out our movie channel for free." We're like, "Oh, movies!" And my mom gets out the VCR recorder, and we're like on VHS.
I love recording TV shows on VCR.
I think house lines will be initially cheaper, and then I think they'll get more expensive.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. Anyway. You have to get a cable company or phone company. Let us know how that goes for you. We've been talking about it because our kids are old enough to leave at home, but we want to be able to communicate with them, but we don't want them to have cell phones yet. Like, we don't want to corrupt their amazing little minds with this all day long. And it's getting harder. Like friends of theirs have their own cell phones, and it's just like, ugh, what are you supposed to do? I was thinking about it as like, if we get to the point where we need to do this, I would need to find this like lockbox that I'm like, all right, 5 p.m. put your phones in the box. It doesn't, like, you can't get into it until the next day. Like, it just like locks for 10 hours.
You could set, like, I did it with my daughter, like, not anymore, but like when she was, I think she got her phone when she was 15, and like, bro, she had 1 minute of usage on everything. It was like, I just went through and parental locked everything. Like, there was nothing. She could have Snapchat for 1 minute. She could have fucking Instagram for 1 minute, and she moaned about it. And like, and now, like, obviously, as she's older, she does what she wants, but she's a good kid. But you don't want them to be on it. But like, I do take away her phone when she's doing chores, because like the dishes will take like 30 fucking minutes. I'll do them in 30 minutes. I'm like, it's because you're sitting here on your effing phone trying to listen to music and jamming out and dancing and trying to watch a TV show. It's like, so I just like, give me your phone. When your chores are done, you can have your phone back. I'm like, Speaking of our generation
funny.
of kids, I don't know if we'll have time for our topic on partnerships today, but I did want to
Yeah.
shout out like a news update. I saw a kid get in trouble for having the Gadsden flag on his book bag, the "Don't Tread on Me" patch, which is very common for the military or like the Revolution, with the snake coiled up.
Yeah.
My roommate had a big one of my former roommate. He's
Yeah.
now married, was his wife, but he used to have a huge poster of that.
So the school wouldn't let this kid. So the school reads. So my son reads Tuttle Twins every 2 weeks. It's a 12-book series, and we did it on a week. Now the school's back. He's finishing it up. So every 2 weeks he reads them, writes out the definitions, and gives a book report and a summary and a presentation on the book. And they teach you about these things, right? Like freedom, the revolution, capital markets, all this stuff. And I guess this kid is like a Tuttle Twins kid, and his parents are that I'll say conservative type of minded people.
Yeah.
Well, the public school saw it, and the kid didn't agree with it, I guess, and he was very polite about it. They called the parents in, and they recorded, I guess the one parent was recording this teacher or principal saying how that flag or that patch was disruptive to the class because it was racist. And you
What?
can go into and he was like,
There are way worse things he could have on his
Bro,
backpack than "Don't tread on
100%.
me."
And the mom was like, it was all over social media. The mom was very calm, and it was like, and she was like, well, the patches because of it started the Revolutionary War and blah 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 blah
Right.
blah. And this is where it found its origin. Well, I guess because whoever it was owned slaves at one point, it is known to be considered like a racist type of flag or whatever. And it's like, one, I always thought it was a Marine flag. Like I thought it was something that the military used to say, I'm not going to tolerate your bullshit. Don't tread on me type of thing.
That's what I thought it was. I still thought that's what
Like
it
a
was.
callback to the American Revolution.
And it is. 100% it is. But obviously some people have different agendas. And she's like, well, in our school policy, you're not allowed to have anything that disrupts the class or anything that's like this, or this.
The guy that created the flag had slaves.
Everyone fucking had slaves back then. So yeah, I'm not even gonna say supposedly. I'm gonna say I'm assuming.
Bill. Come on, people.
I'm gonna say yeah, he probably did. But that was what happened back then. And then, but I guess they went to the school board, and the school board voted it down and said he could have the patch, and it was a huge victory. Because it's a crock of shit, dude. And I saw that, and I was like right there. I'd be like, show me the fucking policy and show me where this patch is not exclusively allowed. Otherwise, I'd send my son back into class and tell the teacher to call the fucking cops. And that's the reason why people aren't going to public school anymore and people are trying to homeschool. That's what's wrong with our society. But yet, you can celebrate Pride Day and Pride Month and make kids wear rainbows and all kinds of shit. That is allowed in our schools. But a patch from our revolution where we gained our freedom, that is offensive to people. The warped perception of this. And my daughter's taking a class, and the question, and I flipped out and I had a long talk with her, and people may not like this, but the question of the essay that she had to write was, and I forget the beginning, but it was, please describe, blah, 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 of why race, like gender, is a made-up construct of society. And I said, what the fuck did that just say? And this is a college class. She's already got she's taking college classes in high school. So this was a Polk university, a state college. And I was like, and she's like, well, Dad, it doesn't mean anything. I was like, yeah, it does. They're defying the very science of what it means. I was like, to say it's a made-up construct is in we made up gender. I was like, one, I agree with race. I think that's a very fluid thing. It's all based on color, right? Color is by its very nature, color is on the spectrum. Sure. But to sit here and say that gender is on the same spectrum, and then to try to compare the two, as in the audacity that racism has the same thing as genderism, you're going to try to compare those and have a kid debate that in an essay?
What class is it?
Humanities in Polk EDU.
Could she argue the other way though, right?
And we had this whole.
Brandon's about to write her essay for her.
I was like, and I just went off and I just explained it to her, and I mean, she's a good kid, but I was like, you don't get it. This is how they get in, and you didn't think anything of it. And if you do that enough, they start sneaking these things into where you don't think it's a big deal. But that's what's happening in our schools today.
That's wild.
This is wild, bro. Wild. Which is why I have my son reading the Tuttle Twins, which is why we're aiming to homeschool, which is why we have a self daycare. Like, we're just working all of this out ourselves now.
Getting home phones.
Getting home phones. Might as well get a fucking. This one mobile home park I'm looking at in Kansas has a bunker. I just fucking move out to this bunker,
Dude,
bro.
that'd
Is this a different one? I thought the other. Is this the
The
same
one
one
in
you've
there's
always-
one in the one in Arkansas has a bunker too for tornadoes,
Yeah.
but Kansas obviously has tornadoes too. And I was reading it, I was like, a fucking bunker.
That'd be sweet.
Oh god,
I've been
This
looking at
world
so
is
many
wild.
parks, guys. Like they all just flow together.
blur
at a
together.
certain point. Yeah, they're just like.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my update of the week. It was huge. I brought it up because for the past couple of days, this was blowing up on social media, like all over all the channels that I follow. So
I'll ask that question though. Are they just pointing to one specific example and making it seem bigger? I think that that's stupid, and I'm glad the school board reversed that, and I hope that teacher or administrators.
it was
fucking learned
probably
their
the
lesson.
teacher itself who wanted to make a
Right.
big stink
It's-
about
it's-
it. I'm sure,
it's like
I'm
one
sure
person's
some
opinion
fucking
is just
7-year-old came up and was like, Johnny's got a pass from the Revolutionary era, and that guy owns slaves, and I'm highly offended. No, I am sure some little kid didn't say that. I'm sure it was the fucking teacher who got
Yeah.
butthurt about it and wanted to exercise some fucking authority.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I'm
like,
glad
and-
they stood up. I mean, I'd have a different feeling. Like I could see like if it was a Confederate flag, right? Like that would be a different kind of conversation. But this is literally the American Revolution, which, for the most
I get
part,
it.
was
It's not
about
even
independence.
I just don't
But-
feel like we should be erasing our history, no matter how good or bad our
Oh,
history is.
no,
People who
totally
erase your
agree with
history
that.
tend to repeat the history.
Absolutely. But
Humans are
it's
fascinating
sad that-
creatures.
Yeah, like the symbolism of things now. It's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
it is. It is unfortunate in the direction things are going, which is why we try to be a beacon of hope here in what we do with this podcast
Here at Let's Talk
You
Real
know.
Estate.
and stuff. This was the and stuff portion of it.
That was the end stuff portion.
Anyway,
All right.
so you guys signed on Alex Sands into IF3
Alex
Colin?
Signs, yeah.
signs.
You're getting a good tidal wave of some people interested in the product. It's a very much
Well, he's got a
people
good
enjoying
following.
it. People talking about it. He's got a good following. Really cool guy. Met him a couple years ago. Yeah, excited to have him on. And at this pace, I feel like we're going to keep getting other people on. Like just in sales calls, people are definitely saying there's some investor fuse buzz, which is cool.
The buzz
Yeah.
is happening.
Mhm.
Alrighty, guys. Well, I gotta go
This was a good epi.
pick up my children and head to Orlando and pack the last moving truck.
Enjoy yourself.
Almost done. Enjoyment is
week and a half
the word, I
away.
would say. Yeah, week and a half away. It's a nice way. 3-day weekend, so I'll get to relax a little bit.
We'll be dialing. I'm gonna get me a mobile home park.
Get it.
Love
Get
that.
it done. You only got 4 months left.
Bruh, I'm gonna have one locked up by next week.
Love
Yeah,
that.
perfect.
I'm telling you. I've been making so many offers, bro.
That's awesome.
So many offers. So I
You'll
get
look back on this time and reminisce to how it all got started.
100%.
The empire for the peas, the Papa
Yeah.
Peas.
locking and loaded, guys. All right, let's
All right.
see you guys next week. Hope everyone enjoyed the episode. I was streaming this to my own personal channel today, so we'll see how that goes.
Love that.
Oh, fun. Exciting.
Yeah, it gave me that option, so I did it. So let's lock and
Okay.
load, guys.
See ya.
See you guys.
Boom.